YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for Kamen Rider Gavv Episode 7. So this episode was still fun and enjoyable. It was kind of more of an in-between, kind of part one-ish style episode. It's weird because like next week's episode does follow up on this one, obviously, but it doesn't feel like a traditional two-parter. It just feels like just part of a continuing ongoing story, like an in-between episode, like I said. But it had some really enjoyable parts, but really the only negative thing about it is it's just kind of like not a filler episode, but just kind of a run-of-the-mill type of episode. Like there wasn't anything super notable. Like there was a debut, but it didn't feel like as big of an impactful episode as like last week or some of the previous ones. But you're not always going to have those. Not every week is going to be a super like big event or anything like that. But it was still very enjoyable. So just getting my negatives out of the way, that was the only thing, is it was just kind of like a cool down in between type of episode. But there was things to like in it. Like I said, we had a debut for a form, the chocolate form. This one didn't get like a story, sort of story like we got with Potato and Marshmallow. God, I sound crazy talking about this, but I do like that thus far, for one reason or another, all the forms are memorable to me. Like this one didn't have a story, and it didn't necessarily need to, because as I've said in the past, it's kind of nice when you do have a memorable event around an ability form, but those don't necessarily require a story. I just mainly like that they pace them out. And they're doing that here, which I appreciate the fact that between how long ago it was we got Marshmallow and then Valen's debut, that it almost felt like a while, even though it hasn't been an enormously long time since we got an ability form. But in general, the pacing of all these debuts has felt right. Not just compared to Gotthard, but compared to a lot of modern series. So I want to continue to give them props for that. But this one didn't have a story outside of the fact that I think it's going to be memorable, or at least you'll remember it because it's using the same power as the secondary rider. So I do kind of hope that the lollipop form and whatever comes next do have something memorable going on around them. Like I'm going to always remember the potato chip form for being tied to the backstory with his mom. I'm going to be able to remember the marshmallow one for being tied to that sweet old couple. And then this one isn't going to have an emotional story, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of fun. It's the same power as the secondary rider. So I like that that's all there. I do think that it's the weakest form for me design-wise that we've gotten so far, but I still like it for what it is. It just seems a little bit boring. But the sort of like pixelated chocolate gun fight was a lot of fun to watch. Also, just in general, the cast, I think, continues to be so enjoyable to watch. Like Shoma and Sachika and everyone is able to be really entertaining and have those funny, quirky Toku moments, but they don't feel like a cartoon bit. And there were just some really fun, nice scenes with them working on the case of the week and whatnot. But probably for me, side note, Sachika did not deserve having that paint thrown at her. Like, that was a terrible move. But anyway, probably the highlight of the episode for me was the interactions between Shoma and Honto, both when they're transformed and when they're not. Because you kind of start off the episode with the first encounter of the first and second rider, post the debut, and it's really funny because like on the outside, especially Valen, they're kind of portraying that like portraying that Kamen Rider like stoic badassery. Like Gav's not trying to be a badass, but he's like behaving like a rider, and Valen's like, oh, I'm mysterious, my name's Valen. And like inside they're like freaking out. It was honestly one of the funniest, most creative scenes I've seen. That sounds like a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but you know what I mean, because we've all seen that scene of the two heroes meeting up and they have their cool voices on and they're both being standoffish, and to see that, but then to see their inner monologues freaking out about losing their identities and not wanting to see each other as the enemy, I thought that was not only entertaining, but I also like that it had them on similar ground. Like they could have easily gone for the trope where Valen is like so like hopped up on revenge that he attacks Gavv or is antagonistic or like don't get in my way, I want revenge. So I like that in general that's not what's being played. I'm still like expecting they might get into conflict at some point. Like I could see Shoma trying to get Valen to not be so revenge driven or something, but right now I'm just glad they're not going for the trope of them fighting each other. Like in general, even if you didn't have that funny inner monologue stuff, it's nice to see them have like a calm, it's actually extremely rare in Toku to see two Toku heroes have a calm, reasonable conversation. Usually these guys are a bunch of morons who will fight over the slightest misunderstanding. Like, you took my pudding out of the fridge! We're not even from the same universe! I couldn't have taken your pudding! And then they just fight, and that's a superhero Taisen movie. It was refreshing, not to mention entertaining, and then it mirrors itself later when Shoma runs into Honto at the shop, and they're both trying to like hide their role in the Kamen Rider world, and that Shoma's the Kamen Rider's like, oh my god, he's investigating me. So that was just so much fun, and I thought that was a great highlight. Also, so there was some little bit of like villain politics going on in the background, which I continue to appreciate, and it was really nice at the end to see Valen square off against one of the main big bads as well. So yeah, kind of an in-between episode, but I'm still really enjoying the show so far, and again, really love those interactions between Shoma and Honto. It was really some fun rider stuff, and man, this just feels like Kamen Rider so much. Like, I was thinking about that during the episode when you're watching Gavv fighting the monster of the week, and then over there you have Valen being like, oh my god, it's one of the big bads, and transforming. I'm like, yes, Kamen Rider is back. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.